Hi, and welcome to News from the Real World podcast. I'm Andrew. This week we're joined by
Isaac Ruder,
Caitlin,
and Kevin Ramser.
In the Design One studio at the Purnell Center for the Arts in Pittsburgh. What state is this?
Pennsylvania.
Right. I almost said Pittsburgh, California. That's kind of funny. Just wishful thinking. Although the weather is still good here this time of year. Okay, let's start with an email or a post about resumes from who's introducing this? Anybody? Caitlin?
Sure. This article was from Google's head of HR, and it was about the biggest mistakes that you can make on your resume. And he had a bunch of opinions.
Laszlo Bach.
I don't know if they're opinions.
Well, not opinions. They weren't opinions. They were pretty obvious. It was like, don't make it super long. Like, don't write a book.
Don't lie. That's always a good.
They all seem like the kind of
Typos.
things you all get told anyway.
Right.
These are all the common advice. None of this was new.
Like you're putting a bunch of typos into your resume and you're shocked that you weren't hired. Like,
Although David Bovers will be very happy to hear that he teaches our professional practice class, which is sort of a class to get your portfolio or resume ready for the real world. And his two top resume things are no typos and one side and one page. And those were the two top things that Mr. Bach had to say as well.
Does Google take resumes? Like, I feel like they'll call you.
Well, I mean,
They get sent. The article said they got sent 50,000 resumes a week.
cold calling resumes 50,000 a week.
Right.
That company can't be that good to work for. I don't know.
Are you
I
kidding
know.
me?
You see
They're
their
like a
offices.
ball pit.
It's
They
like
have
daycare.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they never want you to leave.
I'm
Like,
sure.
they have
Right.
they have nap rooms.
Yeah, like I said, that company doesn't sound that great to work for. I need to
Nap
be leaving.
snaps.
Yeah,
I liked the bit about not revealing
trade secrets.
confidential information.
Well, I found that kind of, I had a question about that because the trade secret that he mentions that was revealed was that the company that the guy had on his resume had worked for Microsoft before, right? And he sort of alluded to it without saying it.
Yeah.
Is there a problem with talking about who
With
you work for?
With agencies that do like advertising and social media and stuff, you're not
And
supposed to reveal
consulting
clients.
companies.
Really?
Consulting companies keep all their clients confidential.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you're like bound by it like after you leave.
Because I have that all over my resume. Like I worked for Show and Fabricators for NBC Universal because I want to have NBC on my resume. But I don't.
I think in our industry though, that's the opposite of a secret. It's like,
Right.
look,
Exactly,
our
you
stuff
want-
works for these people.
In,
Yeah.
in fact, it's good for showmen that everybody knows that they work for NBC, right? Like, so I
Yeah.
couldn't,
And
I
like
couldn't really
it
wrap
has
my
like
head around it.
SEO and something that is like super protected, and like everybody has like their own little tricks and methods and software that they use. So it's that's
Interesting.
stuff like is protected. I actually thought that the most interesting thing about this article was the commenter NY entrepreneur who posted a bunch of very vitriolic comments, and he obviously.
Oh wow! Look at that! It's all
He
swearing and stuff.
He obviously is just someone who is pissed that Google didn't hire him.
Right.
Because he's like making all these like personal attacks against Laszlo Bach and like bringing up like things he was asked about in an interview.
Right.
Very weird. He left like half of the comments on there.
And they're so long. There's like pages.
Long.
Right.
Yeah.
They call those. There's a word for those people, isn't there?
Sour grapes.
Trolls, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
trolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of trolls, the stagehands of Local 8. No, sorry. That was just a segue without a need. Next article, we're talking about this event in Philadelphia and Local 8 there. What's it called? Made in America.
Yeah.
Big rock and roll event that happens in Philadelphia every year. Has anybody ever been to it?
No.
No.
No, I don't really like rock and roll music. So.
I don't
Not
really
my
love
thing.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, I also
What?
don't like
Oh no. I lived there for a year, so
Yeah,
it's like
I never lived there, so maybe.
But I
that's...
also lived in North Philadelphia,
Uh-huh.
so.
I've only been to Philly a few times. I've always had a good time. I don't know. Maybe we're going to different places.
Maybe.
But the article is essentially a day in the life of a very busy day in the life of a local IATSE stagehand setting up for this event. And to me, this wasn't. It was more like it was published in Philly.com, which is just kind of like all things Philly type blog. It seems like part of the Inquirer online presence. there, and it was just sort of a fluff piece, to be
Yeah.
honest, about like what it's like to be a stagehand.
I mean, it was striking how much time he was putting in at this specific moment, but yeah, it was pretty much like,
It
okay,
also,
I've had nights
it
like
seemed
that.
it was more of the sort of stress pride. Like, I only got 3 hours of sleep,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm still working.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's fine. I think they were getting a lot of money though, so.
yeah, they get a lot of overtime. See, the thing is, what it didn't mention, what the article didn't go into, was the fact that he's not going to work for like 6 weeks. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's going to do this and do this big event. He's going to work 60 hours in 3 days, and then he's going to go 2 weeks without anything to do.
Right.
Unfortunately, so that's why it works that way for these guys. But
Yeah.
I guess if you can do that, like more power to you. But I need my sleep.
Yeah, I need my sleep.
yeah, there's some interesting by the numbers. 200 stagehands worked that event. $479,000 was the payroll for the stagehands for that one event. $500,000 to put on an event just for the labor to set up the stage and bring the equipment in, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
That's a big number. You gotta be serious about your event in Philly
Totally.
if you're gonna do that.
But that meant that each of them were making thousands of dollars.
Well, the next number is 9,000. So 9,000 stagehand hours were worked for that event. So $500,000 divided by 10,000 essentially.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good average rate, I
Right.
guess, for a weekend. Yeah.
Well, if you're splitting $479,000 between 200 stagehands, that's like $2,400.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So for like a couple days.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's like
Worth it.
that's for me that'd be a month.
I mean, I'd be here.
Okay. Next up is.
Rascal.
A blog post from HowlRound about the pervasiveness of internet and theater. Actually, specifically about this piece that Alex Ates. What were the two guys' names?
Alex Ates and DCW3.
Oh, that's why I couldn't remember it. It's not a name.
It's got a ring to it.
Yeah, DCW.
DCW3.
Just think like 3CPO, but
Not
that.
And then it rolls off.
See, when I think of C3PO, all I can think is C3PO. I don't even remember R2D2.
We'll just,
But our is the fun one.
I don't even remember
Anyway,
it.
this one was actually interesting.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's an interesting piece. Anybody want to describe it? What they did?
Go ahead.
Well, so they were talking about the potential for social networks and the internet to change theater. And at first, I was kind of not convinced by what they were saying. They seemed to sort of have like a kind of idealistic view of like what this technology could do, and sort of simple idea of what this technology would do. They're like, whoa, we could like live stream a play. It's like, well, why? Like, unless
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what the play's about, or
Right.
then why do it? Like, do we need to see?
Well, they wanted to
sales
do it
of live
as
stream?
wanted to present a work in progress, right? Like
Mhm.
a part of the process that most people don't usually get to see, right? Like
Right.
the workshopping of an event rather than the finished product.
Right, but
Right.
they were also interested in the potential, I think, to bring theater to the masses as opposed to the other way around.
Right.
Of having to seek out a play.
I think it's the right sort of direction for theater because you're currently limited to how many people you can cram into the space, and I think
that's
a lot
the
of.
whole point. That's what makes
But-
theater different than a television show.
But I think the reason there's no good recordings of theater is because we don't accept it as being okay. I think if you were to set up a bunch of cameras and were to actually make a real attempt to record it,
You'd have television.
I
mean, you'd have
think
a-
that, like, people-
You'd have Seinfeld.
Like, I think that you can think of the fundamental thing about theater being that it happens, you know, in one place, physically in front of you with an audience. But I mean, also the liveness of theater is a really important element, and I think you can.
So is Saturday Night Live theater or is it television?
Well, I mean, it's on television.
but it's theater. It's done on a stage.
I guess that's my main
Is
point
it
about this
innovative?
article is
Yeah.
that they do. This is not a new thing.
This
Like
exists.
it's just a different. It's a different set of practitioners bringing the same same idea that we go happens every Saturday night in 30 Rock
Yeah.
Center.
So,
So like,
I mean, then they talk about like experimental performances, like this performance by New Paradise Laboratories, where you go to a website and you click through these different scenes and you see people on webcams, and there's like this development of like a social media persona, and I mean, that's not like television at all.
totally, there you go.
Right.
Now there's some innovation. There's something that's actually happening. The interactive
Right.
part was super
Yeah,
interesting.
and the choice, the idea of like the drop-down menu or whatever
Mhm.
being a part of a computer as opposed to television where it can kind of wash over you. I mean, you can change channels, but can't change channels within a piece.
Right, but I mean
So
that's
that's
something that's not
interesting.
happening physically in front of you, and it's also
Right.
not television. It's more than a live stream. It's more than just showing, you know, just putting a camera in front of a performance and you know and sending it out over the internet, which is
Walking
not terribly interesting.
Right.
Yeah,
But I think it might be to younger people. I know that I like to consider myself technologically savvy, but people half my age can do things with the computer that I can't, despite attempting. I think to them it might appeal more, and I think as time goes on, just the younger generations aren't as scared of the
Mhm.
internet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that that is the truly innovative part of their ideas that I thought was on the right track. Although I have to say, personally, I think that we already retreat way too much into the virtual world, and to me, theater is a chance to like make people come out of that mode that we're constantly in anyway. So I, as a troglodyte, have a little bit of a problem in general if theater were to move that way in general. I mean, of course, this one specific project,
Right.
anything you can do to make art, please do. But at the same time, I really like the fact that theater is this last bastion of, you know, people actually come out and interacting and having a communal experience with people that isn't separated by a video screen.
Yeah. I would agree.
But I mean, what about like media? What about having like media in a live theater setting?
Oh yeah, we talked about that a bunch the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
This HowlAround is very the blog is very centric to technology and theater. You know, the two things combined. So,
But do you mean? I mean, do you feel like that's inherently like alienating, or somehow like sapping the life out of theater?
you know, even if I did think that, there's nothing I can do to stem that tide. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a technology, digital production, all the live streaming that people are doing, like within pieces. No, I think it's just I think it's a tool like anything else. Actually, I don't think it's alienating. You're still in a room with
With a bunch
100
of
other people who are all reacting differently or similarly to what's happening in front of them, and that's to me the main thing that's unique about what we do and that I appreciate
Right.
and would love to hold on to tightly.
Step grip.
The community.
I think we've drawn this section to a close.
Have we beaten this horse?
Yeah, we've done this one. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back in a few minutes with segment 2. Thanks for watching.